Welcome to Books Boys, live from the Grand Library, the Dean and PJ.
He's PJ.
Hey guys. Hey.
I'm the Dean.
That's right.
And we are the Books Boys. This is Books Boys bonus. Now, PJ,
Bonus.
help me out here, because I don't know which part of the sentence that bonus refers to. Is it bonus books, bonus amount of boys, or bonus Books Boys episodes?
I think it's just bonus amount of Book Boys quality. It's not about the episode. It's just about the quality has gone up. Was this extra bit of info
But
here.
the quantity of boys is still the same. It's still just us two, right?
It's just us two, but we're just increasing in spirit and just like, and our scarves are becoming prettier and prettier. I'm not wearing one right now, but just whenever I see our scarves, wow, that's for the Bufanda Boys episodes.
I do have some pretty birds on my newest scarf, so we're really breaking the budget on the Bufanda Boys now for the premium listeners, you know.
Jesus.
PJ, what we're doing today, I mean, it's about 2 weeks or so till our next episode is out, but what we're doing is, I've been trying to set up some interviews with authors, and I thought, why interview other authors when we haven't even talked to our own in-house author? So you've been writing a book, PJ. Do you want to tell us the title of that book?
So it's called Okutama Express, and it's a novel that's set in Okutama in Tokyo, but not in the city of Tokyo, but in the region of Tokyo. So it's basically the west, I think it's the northwesternmost point of Tokyo, which is basically just forest and mountains. So that's where
it's a bit more countryside, sort of.
Exactly, right? Completely countryside, yeah. But the idea is, it's kind of like, the idea is it's still in Tokyo, because it's kind of, the city is always kind of, the metropolis is always kind of interlinked to the story. But it's about basically a man who's basically, he's a man boy, I call him. So he's kind of in between, and he's basically split up with his just former relationship, and he's kind of like, he's in a lot of self-pity and self-loathing, maybe even, and he just needs to get out of Tokyo. It's his day off. He's got 2 days off, and his feet take him to Okutama. So they just take him there, and what happens then is that fate calls him to a village at the top of the mountain. Basically, yeah, and don't know what more to say without spoiling it. What do you think I should say more, Dean?
I think we can say a little, but we don't want to give away, too much plot-wise. We certainly don't really want to talk too much about I think the second half is very strong, but I don't want to give away plot details from it too much.
Well, you've read it now, so thanks for reading it. So you've read it actually.
I've got this massive manuscript here.
Wow, let's have a look at it.
Together with cardboard and
it looks awesome.
Elastic bands.
It's nice to see it on paper rather than on the. I've actually got the original manuscripts here, so I'm just going to show it to you, even though the listeners can't see it. I've actually got the original manuscripts here, so that's also cool.
The original handwritten. Keep those, one day those will be worth some millions of pennies,
Jeez, you never know. 4 manuscripts, and anyway, but what I can say is basically it's about a man boy who meets a dog, and the dog, so he meets him at the Okutama station. And this dog takes him to Nipara, which is a village at the top of the mountain. And basically they see that Nipara is kind of a sad village. So it's basically no one's living there anymore, yet the man boy feels someone's presence in the village, or several people's presence. And basically what happens then, he just goes in a kind of an adventure to, let's just say, save particular kinds of lives. But I'm not going to say more than that. So it becomes a bit kind of, what's the word? Bit of a ghost story in there, Dean, is there, I suppose?
I think so, yeah. Maybe? I mean, it gets a bit philosophical in parts, but I think just the right kind of way. We talk a bit about, about memory and things like that. I think it's good. We don't make the mistake that some of the Bronte books made of inserting 100 pages of political philosophy or something like that. We just have just the right amount.
Well, there you go. Yeah, and we're just saying, Dean, that it doesn't include an agricultural manual. Like was that what?
Yes,
like was
I
Anna
thought for sure that was an oversight, because when I saw the book, I say, it's just over 200 pages. It's a short novel, and then I thought, well, for sure, there's at least 500 pages of agricultural manual just waiting to be slotted in somewhere. So I do trust that you'll do that in the final edit.
Because that's the Anna Karenina rule, right? I mean, the Anna Karenina rule is like 5% story, 95% agriculture manual.
The only thing, the difference between this and Anna Karenina is, I think the story is really, really strong and vibrant. So I think that you might need like 1,000 pages of agricultural manual.
Right.
There's more going on here than in Anna Karenina.
Okay, well, geez, that's very high confidence coming from you, but okay.
But we have a vibrant story. I mean, I said before off air, it's essentially a children's book for adults. We've got talking animals. I imagine it as a kind of, for the most part, not in all scenes, but a kind of vivid, colorful kind of landscape, and it's a really, really nice read. I raced through it in 2 or 3 days just because it's a thrilling story. It just kept me going. And you do get invested in the characters. But one thing that's really interesting, we don't find out the protagonist's name until I think the penultimate page.
Yeah. I think it's the last page, actually. At least it's I'm going to show you, Dean. Look, do you want to see it? This is the last notebook. The name is mentioned, to the listeners, just going to describe the name is mentioned on the last page. And basically, this is funny because the last page of the notebook is not the page anymore. It's actually the cupboard part. And
you're in the back cover, the cardboard cover.
Right to the end is the end, basically. And the name is mentioned. Yep, but that's a kind of like a plot twist. It's kind of like, are the names mentioned at all, or like what's going on there and stuff? Yeah, you found that interesting, did you?
I did. I mean, I was aware, obviously, throughout that we were just referring to him as the boy, occasionally as the boy man, but not really with any name. And I thought that was fine. That was very suitable. And the same way that we refer to his companion as the dog, or what I really enjoy a lot of times, the damn dog.
Yeah.
And then right at the end, we find out the names. And I wasn't sure if you were going to give the names at the end or if it was just going to end without them. But I think it's really nice that they actually basically introduce themselves at the end.
And it's funny that you mentioned that was one of the hardest decisions to make in the whole novel. Am I going to give them a name at the end? And for me, it was a very much a philosophical kind of inquiry, because for you listeners, the whole book is set in a spirit world, and they don't have names except a few terrestrial beings, right? So remember that, Dean. So those we talked about, because you particularly like the ones that actually came from down below. Because I suppose they have more personnel, but they actually have names. They have a bit strange names, but they do have names. Whereas the ones in the spirit world are always mentioned like as kind of stereotypical, like whatever, the dad, the mum, the son, the brother, and stuff like that.
Yes.
It's kind of like entities.
But I thought that was really strong. So here's my impression, because I read it over, I think, 3 days. Day one, I sit down, I read the beginning, and not to give too many plot details away, but effectively the boy and the dog go off on an adventure. We get some weird things happening that I don't know if he's hallucinating or he's going into another spirit world. I don't know what's happening. And then from there, we go to the platonic forms of mum, dad, and son.
Yeah, and I suppose it's...
I thought that was really, really good.
Well, yeah, for me, the beginning is a bit Woodhouseian, and perhaps I was influenced by it because also the way he narrates it a bit at the end is a bit over the top witty, and I have considered like toning it down, but in the end I kind of left it there, and I find that over the top wittiness tones down a bit as well, and it becomes a bit less kind of. And it becomes a bit more kind of straightforward, kind of talking. The voice, the narrated voice changes a bit, like I feel.
But I wouldn't tone it down. The intro made me, it hooked me. 20 minutes of reading, and I wanted to read the whole book in 2 days. It did hook me. So I think the little bit of wit at the beginning was really, really good. It made me wonder, just what the heck I was reading. Like, what is this story going to be? Because I didn't know what to expect. You told me one or two things about this over the long process of writing it, but when I really got the final, well, not really the final edit, but when I got the edit that I have, I didn't really know how the story was going to flow, and that beginning really, really sucked me in.
Oh, great! Well, I'm glad. Yeah. And what I was going to say about the names is it was a difficult decision for me to make, but I think in the end, having a name is what kind of is not it's not essential to identity, but it just grounds us a bit back towards, it grounds us, let's say. And the idea is that the man boy and the dog, they kind of forget their names. It's not necessarily a giveaway to the story, because I think, like, even you reading it, it's not clear so much. Has he forgotten his name, or why is it never mentioned? So I'm going to keep that open to the reader, because I'm not 100% sure myself. But for me, it's a bit like at the end, it's time to go back to, because I can't give that. Okay, no, I was going to give something away. But at the end, like, he does mention that he actually does remember his name to someone, if you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And he just doesn't mention it. Yeah, he doesn't mention it. So it's kind of like, now it's time to, because there is a bit of they're not 100% friends for at the beginning, the dog and the boy and the man boy. Obviously, the man boy calls the dog "damn dog," and the dog often looks disgruntled at the boy with a cold expression on his face. It's like not the perfect team at the beginning, but I like it at
And other
the
characters call him the damn dog as well, once or twice. I picked up on that. I was looking for that.
Well, yeah, I liked. You see, I get a kick out of like those things. So that's like my self amusement a bit, calling him damn dog and that whole kind of dialogue. But for me, like, saying their names at the end was just a bit more respectful towards those characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the other ones don't need a names, but I feel like those two now living again in the terrestrial world, I think it's time to like give back their names. They already had a names. And I really enjoyed that.
Is there anything special about the dog? That's one thing I really wanted to ask you, because it's not really explicitly stated.
No, it's not. No, it's definitely
not. That's deliberate, I guess.
It's deliberate, yeah. So I'll leave that for you to decide, and the reader. And I'm going to say this though, that maybe I myself don't know 100%. In my head, it's still kind of like something that I actually don't know 100%. Because in the book, only the wisest beings say that he is a very unusual being. That's only, like, usually people say he's a damn dog and kind of, oh, look, he's a bit dirty, isn't he? Because he is a bit of a flea-bitten dog. He's described that way once, But like at least two characters that are very kind of strong say you've got an unusual companion right there. And without giving away, you remember that he is able to skip a particular vortex, like in the story. So in the story, there's a part where certain characters get lost without giving the plot, and only the strongest ones don't get lost. And he is one of the strongest ones, which is unusual. So it wasn't. I don't
That's
think it was
right.
expected.
I didn't pick up on that, actually, but yeah, you're right. Now that I think of it.
Because he didn't get into the vortex, even though he's not a spirit or anything. So you expect him to be lost straight away, but he actually kept strong, kind of like all throughout the novel. Anyway, I'm very, very fond of the damn dog. Actually, I'm very fond of him, and he's very kind of like, for me at least, I think he was very unpredictable the whole time. Like, just what exactly he was like. Even like the way he acted wasn't always. Sometimes he was kind of mean. Sometimes he was really friendly, laughing, and
yeah, I didn't really know what his motivation was or where his alliances lay in the first parts,
Yeah, did you get at the end though a bit? Did you, like, just at the end?
I think that it comes together nicely in the end between the boy and the dog, but you don't really know how it's going to go, until maybe you get a good way through the book,
Oh, cheers, appreciate that. Yeah.
Do you want to tell us quickly a little bit about some of the other characters? For example, do you want to talk about left and right?
All right. So there are a few. So as I said, he goes to the spirit world and he has to basically heal certain. He feels he should heal certain beings. Shall we just say? They're all spirits, but they're still beings. And basically, there are these two characters that are not exactly belonging to their universe. They're kind of imposters. And the idea is that the book does switch. It's set in 2017, by the way, which is the actual year I was in Japan. So it's not set in as I wrote it last year, and I just finished it. But I just finished it a few months ago. But the idea is that it's not set in 2020. It's set in 2017 when I was there. But the novel is set in that time, and it's also set in 1945, just after the war, and it's also set in some time at the beginning of the war. And this third timeline is when these two characters enter that are kind of like yin and yang, so they kind of complement each other and they can't be separated, and they're called left and right. And these are basically they appear quite at the beginning of the book, but I don't want to say too much. But are they bad? I'm not going to say, like, more, Dean, if they're antagonists, but I'm just going to say that they definitely appear to be antagonists at the beginning, and especially left. I mean, left is
especially left. Yeah, we find out more about them, as we go along. And again, we don't want to, give it away, but they're very interesting characters. I particularly liked Wright.
What?
I wanted a love story that, in the end we didn't fully get.
Yeah. And well, I'm glad you feel that way, and I kind of left that on purpose. The idea is I left it I left that plot line, that certain love plot line, and there's not. Now, I just want to say to listeners, a love story this isn't, but there is a love plot line because there's a story within the story, right? And that story within the story does have a love plot line, and how it ends is also for the reader to decide. So again, for you, Dean, at the end, it's not necessarily, some things don't necessarily end up quite the way. There isn't quite the ending you hope for always. But the idea is that maybe left open. But there's true love. So I think that...
Yeah, I mean, we explore different kinds of love. We explore strong friendship, platonic love, and even familial bonds at one part as well. So that's all in there, but not a massive amount of romantic love, which is totally fine,
Yeah. And basically that also wanted to mention that, left and right, basically there are these two entities, they're imposters. They come to the spiritual world, but they're important to mention because they take the spirit world of Okutama out of balance by two acts, not just one. But there are two acts that they act. One of them is on purpose, and one of them is by accident, that cause everything out of balance to the year 2017. And actually, 2017 brings left and right back together in a way you wouldn't expect. So I can't say more than that, but there are two characters that seem a bit irrelevant at first, but they're completely essential to finish.
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the only other character that's really important that we haven't mentioned at all is your antagonist, your villain, Maruishi, right?
Maruishi, yeah. So it means stone circle in Japanese, and I did the names. That's interesting that we mention this because he has a name, and I think I tried to make it a point in the novel that the antagonist in the spirit world is the only being that has to give itself a name. And I was just saying the importance of animals in terrestrial beings, but in the novel it's supposed to be that celestial beings are beyond names.
Yeah.
And the idea is that Maruishi he's being described as, one character describes him as the lowest, weakest being in Okutama, even though he seems like the strongest being. So if you remember that. But basically what or who he is, but it's important that I say what he is. I can't give away, but basically the idea is that this being sucks memory. So he lives on memory. So he just sucks it away. And in a certain sense, also life energy does. But basically it does become powerful, but in a sort of a very violent way instead of a kind of in a very kind of take away way rather than like having. So he takes away because he needs it. It's his air and water, memories.
Yeah.
And basically, yeah. But he also
something similar to Freddy Krueger's living on your fear in your dreams, right? Kind of.
Well, yeah, kind of like that. Actually, yeah, very much so, because he takes away the memories and he kind of controls all the beings, and yeah, with that he does control a certain amount of the spirit world just by living off their memories. and he takes away color. So it's interesting that you mention it, that the landscape is very colorful in most of the times, because I think you were mentioning that he lives in, well, without giving away, but he lives, let's just say he lives in a colorless kind of environment.
Mm-hmm. There
And
definitely are some parts where we lose the color to striking effect. You know.
well, did you, no, I don't want to give that away, actually, that particular part. So without giving anything reference, do you also feel that it was a very kind of colorless, like 20, 30 pages or whatever that was? Did you feel like there was a lot of color missing there? Because I tried to make a point of like saying this, there's no color here, like all of a sudden, like.
Yeah, I think that comes across. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad about that, and I was just saying to you, maybe I'll just mention it to listeners, that that's a point in the book when that happens. When you get to that point, I got stuck in that. The protagonist gets stuck in this particular vortex. I won't mention what exactly the vortex is, but let's just call it a vortex. So he gets stuck in this part of the story, can't get out, and I couldn't get out, and I had to stop writing for about a year. I couldn't. This book was written in 2 periods in time. So I began writing it, and up to that point, I just couldn't do it anymore. I didn't know how to get myself out of the book, and the protagonist didn't know how to get out of this particular trap.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Tell me one thing. Did you always want to write this, or was your year in Japan something that really spurred you on to write a novel?
if I wanted to write a novel in general before that?
Yeah.
No, I think I really wanted to write a novel in general before that, but I couldn't, yeah. So I just, for a long time, maybe since I was maybe 18 or 19, so like, because I've always loved reading and any format, but it particularly always struck me the novel. And I'm glad to say now I've written theater and poetry and short stories before that. And I was just like, I felt like a novel was missing, and just came to me more naturally.
Yeah.
As
cool.
a novel rather than a play. I did consider at some point writing it as a play, actually.
Did you? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was might be interesting as well. Like I thought it might be interesting to have a play version, but like we were saying, for me it's also very kind of animated film kind of material as well, because it's so fantasy-esque.
It's a nice sort of style. It reminds me of a Ghibli film or a Murakami book. You know, just the way that the kind of characters are. That sort of vibe that it gives me. It's really, really good. I'm hoping that you get that one published, because I think a lot of people will really, really enjoy it.
Well, thanks, Dean, and thanks for reading it, and for giving some suggestions and helping me with the editing and everything. You know? And like asking
my pleasure. Yeah. So we're going to close this mini episode, I think, with a quotation. It's both of our favorite, one of our favorite parts from the novel. It's the quotation about love, right? And we have some dramatic reading with set to music, right?
Yeah, exactly. Original music as well to that, yeah. So there you go.
We're going to take us out with that, and of course, everyone will be back in a couple of weeks with our regular episode.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening.
Take care. Don't forget to visit us at booksboys.com. You'll find links to our other projects. And, of course, you can email us your recommendations at booksboys@hotmail.com. Take care.
Blueberry. This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com.
Blueberry, with no E's. Remember, you drop the E's.
Yo, bro. Yes? I heard you're on the rocks. Who told you? Your girlfriend dumped you or something? Well, you gotta get your shit together. What's your language? Sorry, I mean, you gotta get your act together. Oh, yeah? And what would a little kid like you know about... Did you love her? What? Did you love her? Well, yeah, of course I loved her. Oh. Well, what do you mean by oh? Well, I just meant oh. Oh is just oh. You're being... What's love? What's what? What's love? Are you hard of hearing? No, I'm not hard of hearing. You're just being a big pain of a little brother tonight. Ah, I see you accept me as a little brother again. You've been acting weird all evening, pretending you don't know me or something. Well, look here. I've been look, I've been on a rough ride. I don't need any cheekiness from a little squirt like you. So are you going to tell me what love is, or what? You want to know what love is? Dude, I'm not stupid, you know. I know what love is. I want to know what you think is love. Right, well, when I'm with this girl, I feel strong. And when I'm not with her, I feel empty. Yeah, the closer I am to her, the better life is. That's love. Ah, bullshit. Excuse me. I told you to watch it. I said bullshit. Codswallop, scheisse, fish snot, worm poo. That's not love. No? No? Mm-mm. Try again, bro. Try what again? I know you know what love is. I felt it all around when I came over. Stuck to you like a scent, and you were smiling in your sleep. I was watching for quite some time, you know. Why, you little... What you felt for this person was a type of hunger. A desire to fill in your empty space. You were sad. This being distracted you, made you feel good for a while. Then she's gone for a leak. You get what? You get withdrawal syndromes. It's called addiction, bro. It's called distraction. Oh, yeah? Yeah, you little smarty pants, you. What do you know? You're just a kid. Yeah? I'm just a kid? So you tell me what's this love. No problem, but sit down, bro. You're scaring the night deers away. The what? The night deers. Look, whatever. I'm sitting down. Just tell me your damn definition of love now. Love is when you can let go of your loved one, trusting him or her to make the right thing. Love never clings to the loved one. Love is complete respect, an attempt to understand an eternal goodwill. Love is a bright light that works without fuel, its energy source being love. Love is a complete acceptance of another being that is flawed, hurt, ugly, and yet still you love this being. Your thoughts are upon him or her, and you wish him or her well-being, happiness. That's love, huh? Yep. Mom loves you, bro. She loves you and me alike. Just like every mother should, and usually does, with her whole being. Dad, I, and Dog, we love you too. But Mom, well, she's got that strong mother's love. She would do anything for you and me. And how can I love her back? In order to love someone truly, you gotta love yourself first. True love for yourself, I mean, bro. Can you do that?
Books Boys was presented by The Dean and PJ Burke in association with Thaddeus Penguin Productions. This episode was brought to you by our sponsor,
Crazy Wolf Bus.
If you would like to get in touch, you can email us at booksboys@hotmail.com or visit us at booksboys.com. The intro uses Driving in the 70s from the Of Soundtracks and Garage Bands EP by Trapdoor. And the outro uses Dog's Light by Bravo Max from the album of the same name. All music used is either pod-safe or used with permission.
If you're in the US and you would like to purchase any of our recommendations, please use the Amazon links for your book purchases and the Audible link on our website for your audio book purchases and help support the show.
Thank you kindly for listening to us. Please tell your friends and come back next time for another episode of Books Boys. Read some books!
Good to have some bonus content up on the feed, PJ. Hopefully more people get to read your book. It's an absolute dream and I really look forward to doing some illustrations for it.